Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Evan Charles. Have a seat, buddy.
What's up?
Have a beer as well, because I need one pretty badly.
Definitely won't turn you down.
Thank you. How was your work week?
Oh man, I was gonna say this before the interview started, so I didn't bore people with it. But man,
this is part of the process.
I've been fighting through some crazy back injury, back pain, back strain.
Really?
For the past few months. So it's a really up and down journey throughout really every day, because I'll like be having a regular day and then I'll like tweak my back and be like, oh well, the rest of my days totally
it's not gonna be fun,
gonna be painful now. Or vice versa, I'll wake up, cheers man,
cheers to
thanks
getting
for
old.
having me, dude.
Yeah
It's lifting stuff at work at Coffee Traders, as you know, so but it's been okay.
You're lifting with your back, right? Because that's how you're supposed to lift heavy stuff, just all in the lower back.
That's how I initially totally messed it up, man. Yeah,
Evan,
I know.
Listen, here's the thing about getting old. You gotta like stretch before every event. You just have to stretch it out, like whether it's the hamstrings or whether it's the back. It's inevitable that you're going to get hurt. Now I'm 37.
And I'm 36.
Yeah,
it's why I was a little late showing up, is because I'd had to squeeze in a few stretches actually.
Good.
So I'm actually I'm in this moment in a good place, man.
Good.
So
that's awesome. One thing that's kind of been helping me is Pilates. It's a lot of body strength, like just body joint strengthening.
Right.
Because I went on a run the other day and I strained my calf and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'm just trying to be healthy.
literally just running.
Yeah. And then I didn't think I had to warm up before running, because I'm not going on a strenuous run. I'm just going around the block. But nope.
Right.
Felt a strain in my calf. I'm like, man, is this what getting old is? Now I just got to like do water aerobics.
Dude, the stretching is, it's a thing that, like, I feel like, you talk about people who are proclaimed to be wise, incorporate the stretching in as they sort of grow older. Yeah.
It sucks because I used to make fun of those people, and then now I'm like, okay, well, I've learned a few lessons here, and I guess I got to start doing that. I'll stretch before concerts and stuff, and when I'm going to be up and down and all over the stage, so just to be sure I don't fucking hurt myself during a show, because that would be embarrassing. Could the back problems also deal with guitar playing as well?
I don't think so. I think it partially might have something to do with the fact that for a long time my only amp was a twin reverb Fender, which is two 12-inch speakers. It's a really, really heavy amp. I haven't put it on a scale, but it's super duper heavy. And I was resilient enough at, my late teens, early 20s, when that was my only amp I had to get it up and down stairs and get it around and stuff. But, one thing you do learn as you age is that, you're writing checks when you're younger that kind of cash out later, so that could have something to do with it as well.
True.
But not guitars. None of my guitars have ever been heavy.
Okay. I just feel like, you're in that position for hours. But it's probably the heavy shit that you're lifting at work, which, by the way, where do you work again?
Yeah, Texas Coffee Traders.
Texas Coffee Traders. Okay. Are you pour over guy or just regular drip?
I do Chemex, which is actually more the influence of my wife. That's just how she did it. But I will say, having sort of been educated on all the different methods working at Coffee Traders, it is a really nice blend of sort of two different ways of doing things, which is drip being like a paper filter or a metal filter, mesh filter.
Yeah.
Whereas French press is, the steeping. That's where you extract the coffee.
Right.
And Chemex is like a nice blend of, you kind of get the steeping from the slow drip through the paper cone.
Okay.
But you also get the paper filter. So you're kind of getting a lot of the what we call total dissolved solids out of the liquid for like a smoother taste, while still absorbing a lot of the texture from the steep, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
Yeah.
I've never been really a big connoisseur of the coffee. Sometimes I just buy a bag from, Central Market, and I'm like, oh, I'll try this one. This one has a unique flavor or a name on it. It's Coke, chocolate, Mexican chocolate, whatever.
Sure.
Grind it up, smells delicious, and it tastes great. But the whole process of grinding it and then doing the whole thing, it's just, I don't know. I want my caffeine real quick. So sometimes I just get the pre-ground HEB roast, and that works too. The only coffee that I cannot stand black is Starbucks coffee.
I mean, I wouldn't even attempt it.
It's just always acidic. I'm like, this tastes like shit. I would rather just go to the gas station and drink that mop water, as one of the other musicians is called.
Yeah, or at least just burnt. Like even burnt is better than like just bad coffee.
So are you grinding your own beans every morning, or do you do the already grounded beans? What's your morning routine like? Because this is what the people want to know.
Yeah. I mean, it is what I do professionally.
Well, no, I'm very interested in.
I mean, my morning routine is like get up and go to work. Like I work at about 7:15 every morning is when I start, and as I'm a roaster.
Okay.
So, those machines, we run them hot. They have to be very hot. And especially in the summertime, as the day goes on, it just gets hotter and hotter in that room. We used to work in this. It used to be on 4th Street, next to the Scoot Inn, at this converted like tire manufacturing, and prior to that, I think like tombstone manufacturing warehouse.
Oh,
and we didn't have any AC in the roast rooms, and so we'd try and get going as close to 7 or before as possible, and be out of there, by 2 or so, and before it started getting too crazy hot in there. And now we're in a new facility where we're inside, but the room still gets up to about 92 in the summer, so it's better, but it's still, so we hit the ground running.
Yeah.
So, but on the weekends I will grind whole beans and make the Chemex. Yeah.
For a facility like that off the facility by 4th Street, I would imagine that it didn't have AC, but that would also mean that it was kind of eating into the cost of doing business, right?
Didn't have AC,
like in the facility where you're doing the roasting. Like, I would assume that they wouldn't want to run it because it just would be insanely too much.
Even if they could have,
it would just
like as I'm learning right now in our new facility where we do like quote unquote have AC in the room, it can't cool the room down. I mean, they're hot, man. They're hot. we run roasters up to, we get the beans up to anywhere from about 430 to 460, 70 degrees. That's the difference between a light roast and the darkest Italian roast. And the air temperature in those has to get even hotter. I mean, I don't see the number as clearly now as I did on the old roasters. We used to work on these roasters that were more like from the 90s, just like LED numbers kind of thing. But the air temps would run anywhere from about like 615 to 635 would be the temperature of the air cooking the beans. Yeah. So you can extrapolate from there. It's like it's a hot room.
How long have you been doing this for?
I started in 2018 just handling the burlap sacks and weighing the batches for the roasters. Okay. That's when I technically entered the roast department. No. And about a year after that, I started learning to roast. We run one big roaster that at the time did 75-pound batches. We do 70 now, and we have another roaster for single origins that we do 30-pound roasts on. So I just started learning on those, and now we have like higher tech, a little bit more automated. We can manipulate the roast curve a lot more precisely. Okay. We use computer software to sort of imagine an ideal curve. We upload it to the roaster now, and we see how closely we can get the reality to match what we set out to do. And if not, then we'll go back in, download it back to the computer, adjust from there. But on the old roasters, we were just watching the ratios between the bean temp and the air temp and the time marks, and sort of adjusting gas accordingly, trying to hit certain marks. And that's pretty much the old way of doing things. So
now we're going to get to your music, but
yeah, sure.
This is just it's always fascinating to see the other side of being a musician and what that hustle entails. And so I'm just fascinated that you've been doing this for quite so long. For the beans themselves, where are you acquiring them from?
We
allowed to talk on that?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't do the purchasing.
Yeah.
My manager does the purchasing, but we have coffees from, we get a lot of Brazilian coffee. We get quite a bit of Colombian coffee, quite a bit of Peruvian coffee, but we have also Mexico, Honduras, Nicaraguan. We do a lot of Central South America. We also get Ethiopian beans from Yirgacheffe and Sidamo.
Okay.
And we get Indonesian beans from Sumatra, and those all have different sort of water content, like because the soil's so different. Like an Indonesian is going to be really high water content in the green unroasted bean because it's such lower elevation. Whereas in Ethiopia, the coffee is grown at much higher altitudes, which in order to stay alive, the coffee plant has to it basically just develops more like sort of acidic complexity at a higher altitude. And Latin American beans are kind of somewhere in between, sort of the earthy mossiness of an Indonesian and a sort of maybe more the fruitiness or maybe even pepperiness kind of a Ethiopian. And then we sort of blend those to make different espresso blends and just get unique taste profiles from there.
And so with those tariffs being put in place this year, how did that affect your guys' company?
It has not affected me. I have heard some of our salespeople talking to our customers that there's like a fungible aspect of sort of what our prices to them are going to be that are just based on, wherever those may stand on any given day or week. So, I mean, it hasn't affected me. You set them, the person weighs the beans, sets them up, I knock them down, send them off to production.
Nice. Okay.
So I'm kind of churning things through and making sure everything gets done correctly.
Yeah. And so you're just roasting beans for your clients who are around town? Coffee shops, some Java
restaurants, cafes, some offices. We mostly around town, but sort of a wider net of Central Texas. We have a fleet of delivery vans and at least 2 drivers, usually 3, who go out on routes any given day. We go as far north as Waco. We go as far south as San Antonio.
Wow. Okay.
We go to Fredericksburg. Actually, we might mail to Fredericksburg. But yeah, I mean, it's sort of a larger Central Texas situation in terms of our clientele.
All right. Right on. So you're constantly in the heat all day, every day.
Yeah, dude.
And speaking of hotness, Echoes of Dawn.
Hey, transition.
It's coming out. Or it's already out?
No, it's coming out. You got an advanced copy.
I did, and I've been listening to it, and it's quite good. The way I would describe it, it's very mature. Because I've seen you come from, God, I can't even count all the names. All right.
Must have been 18 or 19 when we met each other.
Let me try to name all the bands that you've been in. Okay. When I first met you, it was The Days, Sweet Nothing, Alta Mesa, then your solo project, and now Let Down.
Those are all the bands that I've been a principal of, and I played guitar in Nick Armstrong and the Thieves for 5 years.
That's right. Okay.
And sort of substituted in the Happenings for a couple years as well.
What are you excited about this album for?
Man, I'm just so excited to... I don't know. I feel like it's the most complete record I've ever made in terms of sort of a series of moods, a series of almost sort of like life situations, embracing the piano and synth a little bit more. It's sort of the least guitar album I've ever made, although obviously there's plenty of guitar on it. And I just feel like, whenever I started making this record, I almost thought like, maybe this will be like, I'll just envision this as like my theater record or like bands that I've seen play like at the Paramount or something like that. Like something that like has some sort of drama and atmosphere to it. And I just made I wanted to make a record where I wasn't bound by the consideration of, you know, I need to be able to go work this. I need to be able to go like perform this or fit into some scene. Like I need to fit into White Horse scene, or I need to fit into like Hotel Vegas scene or whatever. I kind of threw all that out because I think ultimately these boundaries are superficial and restrictive. So I just did the sound of my mind, and it was really fulfilling.
So when you were forming these bands, was that the goal, to fit into this specific space, like a honky tonk? I would imagine Alta Mesa's
no,
for Whitehall.
not really.
Okay.
Man, each album has a different, I guess, motivation or something behind it. I mean, the last Evan Charles record, Between Two Worlds, I very much did because I wanted to have working music.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to go out. I wanted to do a record of songs that I could play by myself or in a duo or with a full band, and played a honky tonk or a singer-songwriter thing. And I wanted to just have sort of working songs.
So versatility.
Yeah, and being able to just to like take it to the stage, and yes, be very flexible in sort of my ensembles, or how many groups of people I'd work it with. So
now, is that staying true to your artistic self and the stuff that you want to create?
In that sense, it was, because I had never made in that instance, it was because I love the Flying Burrito Brothers so much. I love Graham Parsons. I loved the Ryan Adams and the Cardinals stuff, and early Wilco, and I had never quite made an album that sort of like, I don't know, like rollicked on that same level. Alta Mesa's a little bit more of a desert existential kind of thing, and I had never made a record like that. And beyond that, I also always, because I'm so obsessed with, I love Bob Dylan so much. Big surprise. But, he's famous for making his records on the floor, just like more or less capturing live performances for all his most iconic records, and getting a band playing together in the studio and just getting a take. And that's what I did on Between Two Worlds, is we did live takes.
What did you think of Timothée Chalamet's portrayal of Bob Dylan in the latest biopic?
He has that Chalamet-ness that can never be sort of, you can never totally lose sight of the fact that it's him. But I will say I saw it twice, and the first time, there were parts where I like laughed out loud because I was like, oh my gosh, that's like kind of silly. And then there were parts where I cried, like literally. I ran the full gamut of like thinking it was silly to like being very moved by it. And the second time I saw it, I will say I was able to see past the Chalamet-ness a little bit more. See, what did you think?
I thought it was, I don't really know the complete background of Bob Dylan, but it just seemed like he was very kind of a jerk or his portrayal in the movie. He seemed like he was kind of a jerk. And I'm like, I don't know if I like Bob Dylan that much anymore. I still appreciate his songs, but it put a little...
Well, he was definitely on speed.
Okay. Well, then I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, that was...
Wait, Timothée Chalamet was on speed? No, I'm kidding. Okay, that explains a little bit of it.
Yeah, those mid 60s records are sort of famous for... I mean, it's really not like talked about in like Rolling Stone or whatever, but I mean, everybody pretty much knows who's any kind of Bob Dylan researcher, that he was definitely like on amphetamines during the making of his like kind of iconic electric records. And if you're interested in liking Bob Dylan even less, apparently, I guess there's a great fly on the wall documentary, one of the most famous rock documentaries certainly of that period, called Don't Look Back. Okay.
And
it was his final acoustic tour ever. It was of England. And cameras just followed him around. It's black and white. But he had already made the transition to being like a total hipster. He's sort of prickly. I think he's also kind of like, there's an element where he was like tired of trying to be pigeonholed by the press and people's like obsession with his like, him being the savior of their generation or poet of their times or whatever. And I think maybe if that, obviously he was very dedicated to his work, and to a certain degree, of course, he sought it out to a high degree he sought it out, but at the same time, if people were to start, throwing stuff like that around, like those titles, I think anyone would kind of bristle at that and get a little freaked out maybe. So that might have something to do with it.
He is one of the artists that you will immediately go to the stage when he's performing at ACL, right? Like as soon as the gates open.
I did. I did. In
what year was that?
2006. Did I see you there?
No. Maybe. No way it was 2006. Was it? Was that the first time he came?
I don't know. It was right around, maybe it was 2007. It could have been
2006. I had just graduated high school and I was still in Alpine.
It could have been 07.
We haven't even heard of ACL when we just.
Maybe it was a little after that. I remember My Morning Jacket played his same stage.
Okay.
But yeah, basically, yeah, we got there early. I made our group sit there. They went along with me. But we basically just sat there.
Day.
We sat there all day, and we never had to go to the bathroom because we were just sweating and then rehydrating, like so unhealthy. But I mean, I remember literally sitting in that same spot all day and never leaving it, and never feeling like I had to.
And no regrets, right?
Not anymore. But
okay.
Although that could be a precursor to some future heating, as we were talking about, writing checks when you're young.
I only did that once. It was me and my buddy Sal, Sal.
I do.
Fuentes. Yeah. He was in College Station. I was in Alpine, and my other buddy Gil, he was like, "Let's go to Voodoo Fest to go see the Red Hot Chili Peppers." I'm like, "Yes, let's do it." So got in a truck, went to College Station to go pick up Sal all the way from Alpine, and then we drove to New Orleans. This was maybe like a year.
And y'all are on the wrong side of the state to do that.
It was. We were young, we were dumb, and I had my dad's truck, and like there's Team No Sleep. And so we spent the entire festival just right at the front of the stage. And I was okay with that because Social Distortion was going to play on that same stage, and then it was going to be Red Hot Chili Peppers. So I'm like, all right, that's fine. But Sal and our other buddy, Justin, they were like, dude, this festival was so fucking cool. We did so much fun stuff. And I'm like, well, that's cool. We just stood here all day and watched bands that we didn't really care for.
Wait, did you see the Chili's?
We saw the Chili's. It was amazing. It was John Frusciante. I forgot what album. I think it was Stadium Arcadium that just came out. And
that adds up.
We had a great time. And then after that we went and crushed Waffle House and then drove our asses back to College Station.
To far west Texas.
Dude, yeah.
To College Station.
College Station first to drop off Silly Sally, and then we drove back to West Texas. But
wow, man.
No regrets. It was still a fun time. So in your Echoes of Dawn, or in the bio, it said that it was kind of influenced cinematically. Can you elaborate on that? I don't know if it was your Spotify account that said it.
Oh, you know what? I've been kind of working with this publicist on this album.
Okay.
I
was going to ask.
Yeah, and she was like, "Oh yeah, like cinematic." I was like, "Yeah," but to be fair, I feel like ever since the first Alta Mesa record, I've felt like a really sort of cinematic sort of sweep to my stuff.
What type of movie would you want to see your songs be played in? Like, I don't know, Paul Thomas Anderson,
Man,
for Old Men type movie from the Coen brothers.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably not a Coen brothers movie. I don't know. I mean, this is like I just watched Memento recently.
Oh,
and it's so if I say Chris Nolan, I almost maybe think like kind of in that earlier sense.
It's been a minute since I've seen that.
Maybe
movie.
kind of like, because it also makes me think of Interstellar. Like, because this album, I kind of like, I basically constructed it in the track sequencing, which in a few weeks people will be able to listen to it from the beginning to the end. But I kind of tried to sequence it in terms of like sort of various stages in sequence of like that occur in a human life, like Echoes at Dawn sort of being like this sort of awakening, Wrong Reasons kind of being sort of like a departure into don't stay for wrong reasons, you're not long for Eden.
Mm-hmm.
And the next few songs are sort of about trying to like find your place with somebody else or romance, and then the next 3 songs are sort of more about kind of like confronting like your own soul and
The midlife crisis.
Yeah, exactly. And realizing that maybe like the thing that you were trying to get to that you thought would make you happy is, you can't make that happen for yourself until you sort of realize that it's only you and how you practice your life that's going to do that for you. And then the last song being kind of like it's like a sign off. It's a farewell. So I tried to put all these stages of life in sequence.
That's very heavy. Holy shit. Like I said, it was the first take that I got. This is very different, very mature, and that kind of, that all makes sense now that when you phrase it like that. Because as I get older, I feel like time is going faster. And my problem is I can't seem to find a way to slow it down. I always lied to myself. Friends would be like, man, I can't believe it's already August. I'm like, yeah, it's going to come every single year. But I did feel it like this is the first year where I'm like, shit, we're already in August. And so how do you comprehend the passing of time now as you kind of get older?
By how long it's been since I put out a record. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm very much like I don't know if I'm going to go full bore and do another full length album. It's so much work after this one. And there's obviously expenses associated with it.
Yeah.
But that being said, I do sort of almost have for the past 9 years or so since the first Ultimates record came out, existed on this like album cycle kind of mentality. But aside from that, yeah, time is a difficult thing to grasp.
It is. Every time I go see my parents in California, I'm like, man, you guys are just getting so much older. And I've just, it sucks to see that time get weathered on someone you care about and see it on their face. And so I just constantly think to myself, all right, well, be present, try to enjoy it, because, one day all of this is going to be gone. And so all the little problems that you used to worry about, try not to worry about them. And then just try to try to relish in the good moments that happen on a day-to-day. Like today, my cat nuzzled up to me and I was like, oh, that's great. That's awesome. And so I can take that as a win. So I'm just trying to find these little moments throughout the day to just be like, celebrate that.
Yeah.
Instead of dwelling on like, oh my God, I'm losing my fucking hair. Like I'm getting more wrinkles. And
man,
yeah,
there are those moments in every day if you just sort of even briefly pause to acknowledge them and like sort of, like you said, be present in them and kind of participate in them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I they happen and then they're gone. And I guess that's like kind of the point of this conversation. But I mean, I think very often about how, despite like, it's like how we started this conversation, like if my back's really hurting or something, or if I'm like stressed out about whatever, I also am often able to sort of counterbalance that with like, hey, you're putting out, I'm putting out Echoes at Dawn this year. Like, this is really exciting. Or like in particular with, another thing that I know you've really been into and I've been grateful to let down.
Oh man. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. It's, those guys, Z and Chris in particular. I love Jordan. I've known him for, 12 years at this point, and we've always gotten along really well, and he's a fantastic drummer. But, as you touched on with Z in your interview with him, I've been friends with those guys since we were, in our mid-teens in high school. I knew Z in high school. We became better friends, sort of towards the tail end of his high school when I started college, and probably about the time I met you. But the fact that I get to have this band that I love the music so much, and I get to do it with these people that I love so much, life's always going to have difficulties, and there's at the same time, there's also going to be like things to be incredibly grateful for. And you know, the world's always going to be on a death spiral, and at the same time, like certain isolated moments in the world, you know, an act of kindness from a gesture of kindness from somebody you don't know, you know, it's like all of this stuff is all happening. And you know, you just kind of, you know, sometimes it gets dark, sometimes things are difficult, and also there's beautiful things every day as well, you know.
How has your songwriting changed from to when you were in the Days to now, Echoes of Dawn? Is it all through life experiences? Is it through music? Yeah.
The Days, I don't know. I think I just was like literally getting my first like sentient thoughts out or something. But you know, you do up to the point where I was like, the first songs I wrote for the Days where I was 17, maybe 18. Like, you know, it's, I don't know what I was even about. I'm not even going to reference anybody to those songs. And as far as the music writing goes, you know, I'd sort of bring in some chords and some words, and then the rhythm section guys in that band were so good that I didn't really ever have to think that much about it. We just kind of did our collective thing. And, you know, fast forward to now, and I'm definitely, you know, I've been doing this for so long. I'm definitely much more hands-on in terms of different instruments, and being sort of much more precise and intentional with my arrangements, and, you know, how to use different instruments, and when to, you know, when a certain instrument's going to be the right color, or the right tool for that mood or whatever. And as far as the lyrics go, I mean, you know, life just keeps on happening. And I've obviously, like, we've lived a lot more. I've read a lot more. Have developed probably to a pretty, like, an unconscious degree, certain philosophies about writing that I think is, you know, better or more effective or more economical or more direct. I'm always just kind of like, my goal as a writer is to, you know, if you want there to be a lot to chew on, I want there to be that for you as a listener. But before that happens, I always want to create a sound, and that includes the lyrics and the sounds of the words that goes past that first. Because I think music is kind of one of the things where the effect that music has, that I think none of the other, you don't have it in painting and cinema. Certainly you have so much more to process. Music is such a immediate emotional shift, you know, and it really does surpass intellectualization at first. And obviously there's many ways to break it down when you want to think about it and try and extract meaning from it. But yeah, you know, I'm always just trying to, like, complement the music so that when it hits you from the inside, it's all of a piece, and it all just kind of flows.
And I think that's what got me so hooked on Letdown, is because there's two bands that have really affected me this way. One was Rickshaw Billy's Burger Patrol. When I first heard them,
they're awesome. I love them.
They put on a fantastic show. I was wanting something that was just going to punch me in the face and have a good time. And they provided all of that with the warm fuzziness of their music. And it just, like, I don't know. I just fell in love with them. The
first time I saw them, my jaw was on the floor. Yeah.
It was a really, I don't know, awakening experience, but it came at the right moment because I was looking for that music. I'm like, I haven't really found it in the Austin music scene, something that's really heavy and will, you know, lay me on the floor like that. And then with the Letdown, I'm just like, this is something that I've been wanting to hear, some good poppy, catchy music, but that is more mature in my age, and that's what this band is to me when I listen to it. I'm like, I'm hearing elements of the Strokes and all the music that you grew up listening to, as did I. And I just kept thinking, man, this is like Weezer's Blue Album, but like just so much more elevated to my liking.
That's awesome. Man. I love the Blue Album.
No,
too.
It is really good, and that performance had a hole in the wall. Just like, again, it left me floored. I was like, this is what I've been looking for all this time. So how did that come to be? Who reached out to who? How did this all come together?
It's around the same time that I was making demos for Between Two Worlds, the last Evan Charles record. I also had, like, during the pandemic, I one of the things that I got to just play music with myself in my room or whatever was like a looping pedal, an MXR. Just, you set a loop, get it looping, you play over it, and so I kind of had developed some like chord progressions and riffs that go on top of them with that thing. I had maybe like 4 of those, and then I wrote the songs around them, and I demoed them out, and but I didn't really. I mean, I had like I said, 4 or 5 songs, but I showed them to Chris, who plays bass and also sings in the Letdown. And as you know, Chris and I have been in bands together for a long time. We've been not in bands together for a long time. He's kind of helped me out on my own projects in pinch hitting situations. But Chris has been ever since the time of the Sweet Nothing. Even he had a couple bands with just kind of like with other segments of our friends, of his friends. And he's definitely, I knew he had tunes. He demos them out all on tape. He's very much like an analog purist. So yeah, I knew he had tunes. And I thought maybe that the handful of songs that I had would be compatible with what I know he likes and what I know his songs sound like. And so, man, it's so funny to say this. It is August 2025 right now. About a year ago is when Chris and I started going to his practice space, and I taught him my songs that were finished. He taught me his songs that he had that were finished, and then we kind of showed each other's like incomplete songs, and tossed those around on guitar and sort of found complementary riffs and like wrote lyrics together. And once we had like 10 songs, I think we were like, okay, we're ready to implement phase 2. And that was when we asked Z, because I know Z's, obviously everyone knows he's like a professional bass player, or at least everyone in our circle.
Well, you're a professional guitarist.
Yeah, but he's like big time, I'm local, but I'm not.
It's all relative.
I mean, dude, but Z's like a next level musician.
I know.
I'm like a good musician, and I have a really good grasp of how to assemble the full picture. But Z's like really actually like really, really all around talented musician. So I knew he could play guitar is the point, and he's never been in a band playing guitar. Yeah. So
he was once your rival, right?
We were once rivals. Once were rivals. Yes.
Now you formed together.
Yeah. Well, I've hung around with Z enough where there's been guitars that I know he's got like a really cool perspective that kind of had never been accessed in like a structured way before. So, I wanted to see if he'd be interested, and I knew that we would. The great thing about this whole band is that when we bring something to the room, it really does sort of take on the life of our collective, sort of our own individual perspectives melding into sort of this collective thing, as opposed to being like from the mind of one person, even if that's how it started, Right. So getting Z's personality on guitar and his perspective on guitar has been, it's just been really fun.
It sucks that you're only releasing 5 songs in this EP, because damn, your shows are, I don't know. I'm kind of biased, but I really like the music that you guys are putting out, and I wish you would put out a fucking album, Evan.
The goal is to try and track an album in February, early in the new year.
Now,
So-
how does that work with Z's schedule and dynamic? That
it remains to be seen because he's moving to LA.
what?
Yeah, he's moving to Los Angeles.
Why? Oh,
in
Z, you
in
broke
October.
my heart.
Well, I mean, I think even he's kind of up in the air on sort of how long, if that's like going to be more of a longer term thing, or if it's something
Yeah.
where he got a pretty good deal on a lease. So I think he's kind of like jumping on that and seeing how it goes.
And I get it. You know, you only have one life, so go explore, go see what. It's
Well, and
about.
to him, it's where a lot of his professional contacts are. He's in an LA based band, but at the same time, part of Z being legit, like the fact that he's in a legit band means that, I think when he's available, I think he's going to fly back to Austin and play shows with us. He's going to fly back and record with us. Like he's definitely still in the letdown, still wanting to be in the letdown.
Good.
So
now, when you told me that, my heart just sank a little bit. How does that make you feel that he's going to be moving?
like as a friend in the casual times when he's like between touring, when we just get to hang out, and like he and my wife are like, they have their own relationship and they're really good buds.
Yeah.
Even aside from me. So we hang out with Z quite a lot when he's in town. So that part of me will be kind of sad. Like I'll miss him just in those friend times. But at the same time, like on a functional level for the letdown, it's really not going to be that different in terms of just planning whatever shows we play or whatever we do between his legs of touring anyway. Yeah. So on a functional level, I actually don't think a ton is going to change.
Okay.
But like on a hang level and on a friend level, there'll be those times where I'll definitely miss just being able to kick it with him.
Yeah. Why are all your friends leaving? Started with Chris.
Well, he got married to a New Zealander.
Yeah.
So.
And then he left us.
Yeah, that was funny. Like when he was like, he called us.
Grab a beer.
He calls. He's like, "Hey, let's grab a beer." And then we're like,
"Sure."
And we're like, "Cool, dude." He's like, "I have an announcement."
Hey, what's up? I haven't seen you in a bit. Oh,
yeah.
You're fucking moving all the way across the world.
Yeah,
cool.
Literally like you and me, and then him. And I was like, "Whoa, that's pretty crazy."
I mean, I'm happy for the guy, but it's like, I mean, that's okay, cool.
Well, I think both is, as long as like the two people who have been brought up so far are Sibley and Z. I mean, it's both professional opportunities, man.
Yeah,
it is
true.
Because Sibley talked about that, trying to occupy this sort of like middle ground as
Middle
a
Earth.
videography, Middle Earth with Peter Jackson. And Z's, like I said, Z's played with some heavy hitters out there in LA.
Yeah. I didn't know Dawes was from LA, although they did write that song about Los Angeles, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
right.
I think they're pretty steeped in it.
Okay.
So, it is what it is. Like I'm at the point with like Z's one of my very best friends in terms of that I can count on one hand, and I'm at the point. Whoa.
I don't know what that was, but that's the ghost of this person who owned the home before.
Wow.
That's got to be a sign, right?
I don't know what it's a sign of.
No one else can leave.
That's crazy.
None of our friend groups can leave now after that. So, as I like to do on all these podcasts, is I like to go back into the time when you decided to pick up a guitar. What was the impetus of that? What started it all? Do you remember?
I sort of. Who
were you trying to impress?
I don't know. I think I just was like experimenting and trying something out. I definitely remember it was like a very sort of solitary moment. I had been in choir as a kid. I had tried piano lessons as a kid, which didn't really take. And I was a clarinet player in middle school, but there was just absolutely no way I was going to continue that in high school. So I had been like doing musical things for quite a while in my life, and this is as I was like sort of going into my freshman year of high school, and my dad had bought a pretty cheap guitar, like a $300 acoustic guitar to like with a big fat neck to learn on, so that he could fit his fingers. And you know, I think that was kind of like a pretty quickly tossed aside. Like, I don't think he really followed up with it that much. But we had this guitar in the house for basically no other reason.
Okay.
So I just picked it up, and I do remember the first riff I ever learned was like, was it like Incubus or something? The one that's like, doom 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 doom.
Oh,
No, it's like one
that
thing.
sounds like Linkin Park.
Was it Linkin Park?
Yeah,
That was the first. That was the first riff I learned. Yeah, exactly. That song. Yeah.
That
Was the first.
Things aren't.
Yeah, that was the first riff I learned.
Okay.
So yeah, and then just started kind of learning some chords, and yeah, I just started
Hybrid Theory was
learning
the name of
White
that
Stripes songs and
Okay.
some Led Zeppelin riffs, and that's literally like when I started, and then
Are you kicking yourself now in that you should have stuck with piano in the lessons that you were given?
No, because I picked up piano. I'm like not like a great piano player or whatever, but I picked piano back up once I sort of learned through learning guitar, like sort of how music theory works and how the scales all overlap and what notes are in different keys and what, you know, how you go from major to minor and diminished, and like I learned all of that through playing guitar.
Okay.
And it really helped me approach the piano from like an open creative perspective, as opposed to a play these notes on the page and I'm not going to tell you why or how it works. That's what didn't resonate with me.
Okay.
Is the sight reading. Like, you know, there's people who are great at sight reading and can play piano, but they, you know, couldn't play by ear or play in a pickup situation to save their life. And I'm kind of the opposite. I don't really have any chops, but I can hear the key. I can hear changes pretty well.
Yeah.
So I can usually find something to do, at least as a compliment. So that's how I like to play music in general, is just listen, find the part. It's usually probably not going to be too complicated. I think the best things are usually simpler anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Now, you know, Z was your rival, but did the mayor of Austin name his band the official day in Austin? I'm phrasing this terribly, but
did they get the steps day?
Yeah, you're right.
I don't remember.
They did not, from what I remember.
Oh, but I guess the days got a day.
The days did, right?
Yeah, well, we had the clout of being in a movie. I'm
so glad you mentioned that too. What movie was that?
It's called Band Slam.
Band Slam. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we went to a premiere, me and Sal maybe, and Chris.
Yeah,
specifically just to see the cameo from you guys.
There was one in Austin. It was I think it was at what's now at least the AFS Cinema over there off Middle Fiskville. I don't know if y'all went to that, but they had an Austin premiere, and we actually went to the LA premiere, which was also funny. And those were maybe like 2 out of the 3.5 times I've watched that movie.
But that was kind of cool, right? You know,
it was fun. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I wish like a better song had gotten in it, but those were the only recordings we had. You know?
Oh, okay.
I had written a lot more songs. We had maybe songs that we liked better at the time, but those were the only recordings we had. So, yeah, you know, it was a cool experience. Like the fact that David Bowie's in the movie is cool. The fact that we're on the same soundtrack as like Wilco and Velvet Underground and Bowie is cool. You know, it's not really like a great movie or anything, but those are just sort of fun little things. It's like, wow, that happened.
There was one of our friends made a movie about poop and we went to that premiere.
Who? What is this?
Did you not hear about that? It's called The Holy Deuce. Produced by Christopher
Oh, yes. I do remember The Holy Deuce.
We thought it was so fun because, you know, it's our first like movie opening, and I remember, I think it was his mom that was like sneaking us beers in the movie theater. It was just like, don't tell anybody. But no, it was a really cool experience and it was fun, but it was a movie about poop. So It was still. We need to rewatch that.
You gotta
movie.
start
Chris,
somewhere, man.
You gotta send us that or send me the link so I can rewatch that movie.
Man, I do remember whenever he was pumping that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a good salesman. I was like, yeah, this is a cool movie. We're seeing it at Alamo Drafthouse. It's fucking legit.
Yeah, dude.
And then, like, now looking back, I'm like, it's a movie about poop that was frozen in a freezer. Anyways.
But Chris has the talent and the virtue of pretty much being like pumped about whatever he's doing.
Very much so. Yeah.
And like it's infectious.
You took the words right out of my
Yeah.
mouth. It is. I was like, okay, this is gonna be cool. We're gonna get dressed up, and we did, and it was a good time. And we got hammered, and then we probably spent the night at his grandma's house, sleeping on the floor somewhere. It was a good time. That was gonna lead me to how you've been in Austin for quite some time now. How has the evolution of the music scene? How has that evolved? For good, for worse?
I think it's I think it's still pretty awesome.
That makes me feel good.
I think but you know, I think in some ways it's probably even gotten away from me. But that's okay. Like I'm kind of just about like as long as there's just like cool energetic bands or like artful bands or solo artists or whatever, like I'm happy. I'm just happy to be around it. I think I don't know, in some way, like sometimes it's made it a little bit more difficult to like cut through to like certain radio stations or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I do remember the specific moment where I heard Lori Gallardo talked about Alta Mesa. I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking heaven. I know him.
I mean, she's such a great person.
It was just such a cool experience because I've been listening to that radio station for quite some time, and then to hear someone that I know being played on this radio station, I'm like, oh my god, yeah,
and you know,
fanboyed out there.
I think it kind of does in that, like, and Lori's a really good example of this. Is a lot of it still kind of does come down to just like even individual relationships you have within a larger organization, you know. So, but at the same time, I hate to use the word competitive because I don't think music is a competition. I think it's like about community and sharing, and I think it's about sort of mutual inspiration. But maybe the word is there's just a lot more. And so it can be harder to sort of like cut through really the constant deluge that all these sort of local tastemaker type of people are in. But you know, all you can do is just keep on making stuff and keep on trying to be diligent about getting it into the ears of people who, you know, maybe can play it or might want to play it or be interested in it. And
When you were starting this music path, was there a mentor that you had to kind of guide you along, like, hey, this is how you make a record, hey, this is how you reach out to bookers, hey, this is how you get your name out there?
Not in that regard. I did have a very important mentor who I was thinking about actually driving here because his name is Rick Del Castillo. He's in this band Del Castillo that's been active for the better part of 20 years.
Oh, okay.
They're kind of like a Latin rock band. They play, Rick and Mark Del Castillo are the brothers, and they play sort of dueling twin nylon string guitars, but like really fast and aggressively. And I was thinking about it because whenever I know I'm going to come do one of these conversations, I tend to do a little bit of an inventory on my past.
Mm-hmm.
Just so I maybe can remember what's happened in my life. But secondly, because coming here to your house, it's the place where I took guitar lessons from Rick is really close to here. Okay. Like maybe within like a couple miles. And so, yeah, he was a great mentor because he's such a supportive guy. He taught me, like, from a very, very early stage of learning guitar. I mean, probably within the first year to year and a half that I picked up the guitar playing Linkin Park, he taught me about sort of the way different keys fit together and the way the different scales and modes all go together. and just getting those sort of like getting my mind around those basic building blocks of not just guitar but just music was like so useful and so crucial at that time. And he just was always ready, always knew when it was time to go to like maybe try the next level up, just kind of guided me along that. I took lessons from him for about a year, but we did the first Days album at his home studio that was right around here as well. So he was probably like my first like music mentor. But as far as anybody teaching me how to do like the bookings and emails and all that stuff, I think I was pretty pretty bad at that for a long time. And not that I'm really great at it now, but
yeah,
I know how to make a professional looking email. It's just I have no clout behind me.
Right. And that was kind of like going into my next question is, everyone has been telling me to like create packages for like a corporate world, price it out differently, whatever. And so I'm like, I for the longest time, I was so against doing that for musicians because I just didn't feel like it's an art. It's a creative art. How do you put a price on that? Let's do some negotiations. Let's figure out what the needs are. But then one day I just like, I don't know what to charge. I don't know what the price point should be for X, Y, and Z. And then the more I got into working with musicians and figuring out what they need, whether it be like studio time for me to be there to capture photos, videos, whatever, or if they want the live experience and want me to capture that, I'm like, okay, let me package all these things together. And I sent it out to Vincent Antone and another musician. I'm like, hey, take a look at this. Tell me what you think. And they're like, yeah, this is great. Any musician would look at this and be totally okay with it. I'm like, okay, I got something there from reputable sources. And I packaged all that and started sending it out to musicians who were inquiring about my service, and it became like a super easy sell. But for the longest of time, I wasn't comfortable enough to feel that out until I gained that experience. So when you are going into, let's say, the Austin music market, is it just based off experience that you're booking shows for X amount of price, or is it just handshake deals? How do you cultivate a business in the Austin music scene?
My experience, I mean, and I'm not like because as you know, I kind of intentionally do my own sort of like left of center kind of thing in terms of just like I'm intentionally like a little bit outside of the box as with each new project, at least I try and change. But my experience with, I mean, as far as like, playing at Hole in the Wall, like playing shows like with the Letdown at Hole in the Wall or Hotel Vegas or whatever, you sort of just agree upon what the door charge is going to be.
Sure.
Split it up with the other bands, and however many people come, that's what you get.
Is what it is.
And but as far as like, if somebody reaches out to me to like try and hire the band for an event, something like that, my first questions are just always, what time is the set? How long is the set? What kind of mood are you after? Like, what's the nature of the event? And I just try and get details about what they are trying to get as far as music goes. Yeah. And, then it comes down to, are they providing sound? Do I bring my own sound? And I just take all these factors into consideration, and then I generate a quote, which is gonna, pay for my time, pay for my band's time, and maybe sometimes pay for equipment rental.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I mean, and there's been times where my quotes are accepted, and there's been times where it's like, oh, that's a little out of our budget, and I'm, and I just say, well, thanks for asking, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like but there has to be for corporate events and for, like hire to play gigs, there's got to be a certain kind of like floor that you're not going to go beneath,
Yeah.
So.
And I guess the reason why I'm bringing up these business questions is because you were in the same business school as Nico Little, and you texted me, you're like, hey, I'm in the same school with that kid.
Right.
So yeah. How did what did you learn from that Or are you still currently enrolled in that school?
No, it ended a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Was it good? Was it bad?
It was. I would say it was a lot of useful information at least in my mind, to once it was all over, to go back through my notes and slides if necessary. But I took my own notes to go back and refer to, sort of both as like a general review and retrospective now that it's over. And, different, maybe different specific instances as they arise. It was, I think a lot of it was like pretty general, and it's often on Thursdays that I'll have practice or a gig or something, but they did have Thursday Zoom office hours that we could attend and get more specific and granular if we wanted to.
Okay.
I was only able to take advantage of that maybe a quarter to a third of the time, but, I would say it was like a really good start. It was a really good primer in a lot of different aspects of sort of like what it means to run yourself as a business in terms of licensing, booking, touring, taxes, copyright, stuff like that. It was providing a vocabulary and an overview, I'd say. And then as usual, within, you can, from there, you kind of, it'll set you on the right path, whatever question you have.
Right. And was there any sort of curriculum before that? Because in my mind, what I was trying to get to when I was telling you about my packages for musicians, it's like, I don't know. I don't want to stain that type of relationship that I have with the music community. Like, I don't want to put a business mindset to it. Because it just feels wrong, but at the same time, like, I want to have some longevity in this, and you can only do so many shows for free before, you kind of have to start charging, because you're building that experience, and what the musicians are looking for, and the quality that you're giving them, and on top of that, how this can help them maybe book more shows. If this is
sure,
if you spend this amount of money and the next show is
right now, and
then you have all this marketing content that's going to maybe lead to potential leads that it's going to like triple your ROI, then I think that was the toughest thing to get around or wrap my head around, is like, musicians aren't generating the most wealth in this, Austin area, but if they just spend a little bit, then they might get a little bit more. And so I just took all those business concepts. I'm like, I'm never going to put that into working with musicians. But once I started to do that, I started to see the benefit of it. And then the musicians started to see the benefit of my work, and, maybe getting more jobs or just getting better quality videos. And
absolutely
makes them feel better at the very least. So I was just so opposed to that. But for whatever reason, I'm like, all right, let's just do that. And then maybe the things will change. But when I just was, like I said, I was always opposed to putting business concepts to an art. And I was just trying to wrap my head around that. It's like, is that selling out? Is that, bending the knee to the man?
I think so. There's I don't, maybe this applies, maybe it doesn't, but I was played in Los Angeles a couple of years ago, and basically kind of casually knowing this guy named Chris Masterson for a long time. He's a really top flight guitar player. He plays for the Wallflowers right now. And prior to that,
So you met him?
I've known him, basically since I was in the Happenings. Okay. And he played guitar with me when I went to LA. He played it as my pickup guitar player in Los Angeles. It took a little convincing, and I kind of, I had to meet him at a number, and he definitely hooked me up from his like normal rate. Mm-hmm. But I was happy to sort of go a little bit out of pocket to have him because he's worth it, and he's a great player, and he's a really nice person.
He's also 1 degree away from Bob Dylan.
1 degree away from Steve Earle. I guess from Jacob Dylan.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, we were talking about after the gig, like we had a fun gig, It's like, it was definitely different from the stages he's used to. We played at this little almost hole in the wall size kind of place called Silver Lake Lounge, But I think it seemed like he had a really good time. Like after the gig, he was like, "Oh yeah, man, whenever you're in town again, call me anytime. Like, the record's great. I had fun playing with you and learning your tunes." And we were talking about like other people who have asked him to play and do stuff, and he goes, I just always tell people this: you can have 2 out of the 3. You can have something fast, you can have something good, or you can have something cheap. You can have 2 of those 3, but you can never have all 3. And I think when it comes to deciding how, somebody hiring you, or just if you're in the position of seeking a service, it's like you prioritize, like in this particular instance, like, do I need something high quality and crafted? Gonna have to pay for that. Do I need something sort of quick and repeatable, but it's maybe not as so it's like there's just these considerations to take into account, and there's always the balance of how much of this can I do myself.
Yep.
I put out a music video for Lost in the Dark, which was the second single from Echoes at Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got access to the studio through my friend Kate, and she shot the footage, and I didn't, I think if she had more time in her life or whatever, she wouldn't have minded getting into the footage and editing it at all. But I was like, you know what? Like, if you're busy, like we got this, send me over the footage. I'll get into iMovie and edit it.
Hell yeah. Good for you.
And,
awesome.
So there's you add new things to your tool bag by being cheap, I guess is my
you get some new experiences, that's for sure.
Yeah. So it's you figure out what you can do yourself, you figure out what you need a pro to do, and then you prioritize how you want to allocate resources.
One of yesterday was kind of a shit show for me because I double booked. I would call it a double booking in that I booked a concert package to cover a musician late last night from 9:45 to 10:45, and then I had a booking this morning for some headshots at 7:30. So coming home, I probably went to bed about midnight, and then I woke up again at like 6 o'clock just to get prepared for today's shoot.
Sure. And
what kind of like just sent me just spiraling was the client today was like, "Hey, I know you gave us a rate for $600, but can we do it for $500?" Literally the day before. And I'm like, and this is a corporate client. This is not like a musician. This is not an artist.
Yeah, I think that's where you pull the plug.
Oh, well, I wanted to. I wanted to so bad. I was like, I'm sorry. I can't. Really, you can't cough up $100 from your big corporation. Anyways, so that just like sent me off in a bad mood. And so last night I was at I was filming the musician, and he's playing in a cover band. So like I could not have a bad time because he was just playing the Bee Gees. They're like playing good music. I'm like, all right, Ramon, what are you really pissed off about? You're going to make money. Yeah, the corporate client stiffed you, but it shouldn't, put you in a pissy mood for this event. So I was just like gathering myself. I'm like, all right, I realize what I'm doing. And I just thought of like all the times that I've been stiffed for like $50 from a job and they didn't pay me. And I just think about, you're not working in a corporate environment. You're producing art, but you're getting paid for it. So just be happy. And for you, was there ever a moment where you're like, yeah, I'm not getting paid what I want, but fuck, this is cool?
Yeah. My entire career. Yeah. I love,
all right, I'll shut up now.
I love music, dude.
Okay.
I definitely wasn't thinking about money whenever I started playing guitar. I definitely wasn't thinking about money whenever, the way that the day started was that Chris from The Letdown, he had a jam club at his school, and it was in the drummer's basement.
Mm-hmm.
And and they invited me in, even though I went to a different school than them. And it eventually whittled down to us three. And, we were, just for the pure joy and love of it, we did every Sunday afternoon for a solid couple of years just to start, because it was just a fun way to spend time. And when you first start playing music and you're playing out of an amp and there's like a drummer involved now, it's like it's really exhilarating, you know. So
Yeah.
I've always just tried to keep that sense of exhilaration, and when it's apparent that something is going to become work or be a job, then I switch my mindset accordingly, and I make sure that I set my number at a number I'm going to be happy with, and from that point someone can take it or leave it. But as far as the things I do for fun, like, you know, man, it's like I'm too lucky to get to play in the letdown with some people who are really dear to me and whose talents are, you know, at such a high level, and I'm really lucky to be able to make all the records I have. And so in that sense, it's a passion project first, you know, but
Yeah.
it does turn into business at times.
I was going to ask, how do you find that balance between, like, because I'm a capitalist pig when it comes to my corporate clients. I want to try to get as much as I can for the amount of work, because I know that's paying my bills, that's paying for all of my vacations, that's my healthcare, that's my retirement. So I want to try to, you know, get as much out of them as I possibly can. But then when it comes to the music side, it's like I want to do as much as I can for that industry, but also I you know, I have bills to pay as well. So I try to feed into that mentality, but also subdue it with like, hey, you're going to a concert and you're going to make money, and maybe you'll cover your bar tab. That's cool too. But it's just like, how do you separate that mindset? Because you are a business owner in the music space, are you not?
Yeah, I am.
So how do you balance that out?
I think I just decide if it's going to be fun.
Okay.
And, you know, and it's also like you have to know who the client is.
Yeah.
Like if the client has money and you know they have money and they're specifically seeking you out, then, you know, you treat that situation accordingly. It's because it's a job.
Right.
Whereas like if I'm just like calling the hole in the wall and asking if they'll just kind of let me, like, you know, stay warm on a Monday night residency for a month, you know, I'm not going to like throw a fit about like, you know, an extra $25 of guarantees or whatever. Like it's just
right,
because I'm doing that for my own sort of self-enrichment.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of like, to me, it's like, is it a self-enrichment thing? Is it a friendship and community thing? Or is it, are you kind of, I hate to say like crossing enemy lines or something. It's not enemy, but it's like, are you crossing outside of the community or outside of the friend zone to a thing where it's like, you know, you go from a place where everybody's a creative or a musician or part of your friend group to a place where, you know, if you're the kind of outlier for being the musician, if you're kind of like the weirdo in the crowd, you know, then that's probably a situation where you need to try and get paid. But I mean, I'm developing this philosophy as we speak. So,
so what do your parents do full time for work?
So my mom still works. She works for AISD.
Okay.
And she worked. She's based. My understanding of her job is that she's like one of the lawyers on staff, and she's the chief liaison between the school district and the state legislature, advocating for the interests of the school district. Like whenever bills come up, you know, she goes through the bills or contracts and analyzes how it's going to affect the district.
She must be very busy during this current administration. It's
been really well, she only works on the state level.
Okay. But still,
but
even that,
it's still it's been really rough for her this session. I mean, her busy times are the session. Yeah, it's been really rough with the whole charter schools reallocation of sort of tax dollar funding away from just regular public schools,
amongst other things too.
Yeah, so it's been a rough go, but you know,
bless her for all that she does.
She's passionate about it, man, and and she works really hard at it. But you know, she's never lacked for energy. She's never she's never just run into a wall that she just stopped and couldn't get through. She always sort of finds sort of a different way to approach a problem. She's very like sort of type A in that way. And she's an effective person, and I think she sort of prefers to be behind the scenes, just trying to help the kids of AISD and the teachers and staff of AISD. And my dad was a trial attorney. He has been retired for probably about 15 years now.
Prosecution or?
I think chiefly defense.
Okay. Awesome. I have a good buddy who's a defense lawyer. He has a lot of wild stories.
Oh man.
Criminal defense. So.
I always tell him like, it's a little bit unbalanced and unfair that, they're very into my music. They're like a little bit too much sometimes. Like I wish they'd just kind of like let it breathe sometimes.
Chill.
They've gotten a little better about that. But I mean, I appreciate the support, of course, and but they've seen me play countless times, and I often tell him like, I wish I would have just gotten to see you perform one time, because I think he was, he's pretty well decorated in terms of his sort of career accomplishments and like recognition within the field. So it would have been nice to see somebody who's like a real ace kind of throw their best stuff. It
was pretty shocking because my buddy, he invited me to a court hearing that's open for the public, and he was like, hey, just come check it out. I'm like, I would love to see you in that light. And I asked him like, so are they going to ask me is it okay for me to go in there? They're going to ask me any question. He goes, yeah, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Just walk right in and say you're just there for, he gave me a specific term, but he was like, yeah, no one's going to talk to you. And then as soon as I walked in, the judge immediately asked who I was and what I was doing there. I'm like, I'm just here in observance. And then the guy was like, all right, whatever. And to see my buddy Brian perform, and I want to say perform because it's very much a theatrical thing. I'm like,
you're creating a narrative as a lawyer.
Exactly. And I'm like, last weekend we were just slamming beers, getting hammered, and here he is all professional, like defending an alleged criminal. It was wild.
You got to flip the switch, man.
Yeah. So I asked all those questions about what your parents did to find out like how did they react, or how did they proceed when they saw you kind of pursuing this music as a career, this music thing as a career?
Well, I mean, I've always had a job aside from music to somewhat support myself and
supplement the income,
more as the years have gone by, for sure. Early on, my dad, there were a couple instances that I remember where he, very clearly and point blank asked me like, are you sure this is what you want to do? Like, not really from a like, you shouldn't do this kind of perspective, but just like, kind of asking me to like really confront that to the degree that I could. I don't know, when I was an undergrad, I mean, you still don't really know all that much about the world as an undergrad, so in the most informed way I could, I knew I loved music. I knew I loved playing music. I knew I had really sort of found myself and my voice, and sort of found like a confidence from within myself by the fact that I had, it gave me a way to sort of align, sort of who I was on the inside and the outside, becoming a songwriter and performing musician. And I knew that I felt really, it felt right, and it felt good, not just in the act of doing it, but sort of pervasive throughout the rest of my life as well. And so I was like, it's what I want to do. I'll do whatever else I need to in order to keep doing it. But it's definitely something I'm passionate about. And he asked me again, and I said, yeah, this is where I found my people. This is, I never really fit into sort of more professional minded communities, or sort of more kind of, I don't know, just sort of straightforward I don't know, just more kind of professional minded, sort of traditional minded, get the job, have the kids, all that thing. I've never really fit in 100% with people like that, although I have a lot of friends who've done that. But music is really where I found my community, and to me that was the answer I gave him, and he just said okay. And I don't even think really I'm in music and I didn't understand what that entailed. So I know he certainly didn't understand what that entailed. However, he had enough respect for my desires. And I had always, I've always been, since I was a kid in school and even in sports that I wasn't good at, I've always been a hardworking person. And I think he kind of knew that I wasn't just like going off the rails and throwing my life away or whatever. It was like I was gonna. He knows who I am, sort of constitutionally. So I think he figured that this was, a decision that I was gonna be most comfortable with. Yeah, with my own life.
So, why do you create music? Is it to still be part of the community? Is it to put your art out there, to feel heard, to express yourself?
I appreciate the exchange of ideas in the community, without a doubt. To me, like the most sort of eye-opening sort of, I think I gained sort of the most like spiritual freedom has been given to me by music, by other people's music, the artists I love the most. And then being able to create that, it almost makes me feel like a part of, it makes me feel like a part of the thing that sort of initially set me free and made me excited and exhilarated in the first place. And it's just, I don't know. There's just nothing like when you get the final mix or the final arrangement or like a great performance of something that, because nowadays, I think about this in terms of, now I've been doing music for so long that I think just like any other language, like you're becoming really proficient in a language when you start speaking it in your mind, just as your thoughts, And I think I've been in music for so long that I just speak music in my mind now, and sometimes I'll just kind of hear a song and think, oh, I'd love to develop that one. And so now it's just the satisfaction of taking something from a sort of mental conception to, something that I can listen to externally and other people can too. It's just, I don't know. I just find it really fulfilling, and I'm so affected by music and all the different sort of emotional places it can take us to, and really the emotional places that it can unlock that you weren't even hip to, but maybe a certain song or a certain lyric just opened that door for you.
Yeah. No, I fully understand that. With, again, going back to the letdown, it's just like that opened up my curiosity. Again, it ticked all the boxes that I've been searching for, because I work with a good amount of musicians, and they're all good. They all have their respective songs that they play and their genres, but hearing those songs coming out of your, the band at the 13th floor, in that, sorry to say, empty space, it was like, this is
I'm used to it.
No. Well, it was like, this is when I took like account. This is a special thing. This hit me where I wanted it to hit, and it's great, and I want everyone to like the same music.
Okay, that was our second show too.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome. So we're well over an hour now. Only a few more questions I have. I want to talk about disappointment as an artist. How do you deal with that? And what was your last disappointment?
Oh. I think at this point, I don't really, I try not to like get too high or too low about anything. Like,
okay.
like I was saying about maybe trying to cut through to certain radio stations or whatever, it's like there's only so much you can do. I think it's just kind of the whole mindset of like you control what you can control. You do your creative your creativity and your art to a degree that satisfies you and that you're happy with. You try and do the sort of professional sending out as well as you can, and at a certain point you just kind of let the chips fall where they may. Last time I was disappointed, I mean, I don't know how to answer this question without calling out like specific situations or institutions that I wish would have picked up something I sent them. But yeah, there's been a few little things like around sending out this album that I was like, oh man, I really thought that y'all would, pick this up and integrate it into your thing, like just certain things like that. I'm not gonna say names or whatever because I could get an email back from them tomorrow that's
hey, we watched you on this podcast and like we kind of want to hire you. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, so it's just there's little times where you think that where I thought my music was like, oh man, it's like really perfect for like this radio station or this whatever, and then it's like it kind of gets passed over and it's like, oh well, that's I guess that's it is what it is. I'm happy with what I've made still. So
yeah. Now, in regards to social media and sharing of art forms, how do you feel about it?
Sharing of art forms, what do you mean by that?
Whether it be photography or, in your case, music, because one, you could hear about a musician all the way in Australia that you never heard about with the power of the internet.
Sure, yeah.
But also, it just seems like there's just a lot of trash out there that is being produced and consumed at high volumes. And when I see like, artists that aren't of good quality, yet they are producing numbers that then gets them hired on big festivals, it's infuriating to me as a consumer of music.
Sure.
So what's your personal take on social media and the sharing of things?
Yeah, I mean, I use Instagram in terms of because it's a built-in format. I know how to use it.
Yeah.
But as far as like, what the algorithm catches or like how certain things blow up and you're like, why is this happening? Again, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, there's usually probably money involved that I don't have. Or, maybe I'm like more out of touch than I even thought, which I can accept as well. But at the same time, it's like, I have, like, I recently just got off Spotify and switched to Tidal because I'm just like over the whole Spotify.
Tidal?
Yeah.
The Jack White, Jay-Z?
Yeah. Well, now
still a thing?
Now it's owned by Square, the point of sale system.
Okay.
Square. It's awesome sound quality. I used to get more kind of tips about new bands from Spotify playlists, and I think Tidal will catch up maybe the more I kind of play music and feed into. But it's great for discovering things. Sometimes a lot of it's just total static white noise garbage that I don't need in my life. But again, it's just, what are you going to do? It's like, that's like not anything I can really even try and wrap my mind around, much less like manipulate in a totally conscious way. So I just put my stuff up there and it is what it is. Hopefully somebody, if it's like, whatever, it's like, if you care about somebody's stuff, like subscribe to their posts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. The older I get, the more it's kind of exhausting, but the more I try to be positive about coming from a strict Catholic family of just riddled with just Catholic guilt. It's always hard to not just shit on everything that I don't like. When I was younger, I'm like, we have to play Bright Eyes album at every party we go to, or else all the other music's just completely shit. Like it's fuck Lil Wayne. That's not even fun. Like Bright Eyes is fun. But the older I get, I become much more appreciative of the art because I've seen the efforts that goes into, recording a song. But it's also become kind of exhausting to try to not shit on things, have a positive mindset. And so how do you not shit on things? Or do you shit on things? Like bad music?
No,
bad
I mean,
people?
I definitely I'm not
Okay,
above,
you're
I'm
human.
not above it. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll be like, that's garbage, or like,
But there's definitely a sense of maturity that comes with like, okay, I understand that that's a popular thing, and I'm not going to talk bad about it because that's just putting negativity out.
Well, often I'll come around to liking certain things like that, and
Like-
as with time,
like Taylor Swift.
certain Taylor Swift albums.
I used to hate her. I couldn't stand her. Then all of a sudden, I'm like,
She's
all right, people are like liking her music.
It's
for
like
a
I
reason.
get it. It's like I get
it.
and like I'll throw it on sometimes.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. It's just like I kind of have the attitude of like, there's like so much, like I said, noise, static, garbage just constantly flooding our lives as long if you expose yourself to it on social media,
Yeah.
that like my energy or problem solving or like shit talking about it is like, that is energy that I like try and reserve for like my music, and like whether it's like making music with a band or whether it's like literally like organizing who I need to send emails to around something. Like I stay focused on my business, man.
Yeah.
I pretty much I stick to my own like pretty strongly, just because I have to, because I have so many plates in the air at all times, running my own thing, 2 bands, like so.
I was about to say it's September 13th, your album release party, right?
That's right. The Echoes at Dawn is Continental Club, September 13th. And also shout out to guy who produced my album and the guy who formed Mr. Pink Records, and I've done so much recording with Jonas Wilson. He's also putting out his album that night.
Wow, awesome. Is he still out in Bastrop?
He is,
Okay,
yeah.
right on.
Yeah, you came out to his
Yeah.
place. That's where I've done
That was
my
almost
last few records.
decade ago, maybe.
I know, it's crazy.
Wow.
But yeah, shout out to Jonas. He's putting out his record, Smash the Control Machine, out that night as well.
Okay.
So that's September 13th, Continental, and the Letdown EP release show is August 22nd at Hotel Vegas with
Gus Baldwin,
who rips,
Jesus,
and definitely like one of my favorite new bands of over the last year, Flags. Who Jonas has recorded as well. I'm a huge fan of them.
I became an immediate fan as soon as you posted that thing about Hotel Vegas. I'm like,
I checked out the bands on the bill.
I'm like, who the these guys are awesome.
Yeah.
So it definitely added them to my Spotify list.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
sorry.
I see. I just love to be like around bands who are
That's gonna be a
I'm just
fun
like
night.
so excited to hear their music.
Yeah. And then, so when's that night? That's coming up.
Friday, August 22nd.
All right. Okay. Definitely be there. So speaking of huge disappointments, how do you feel about the Cowboys' upcoming season?
I'm actually agnostic about it right now.
Are
like,
you still a fan? Because
it's pretty tough,
No.
but I'm still partially in.
okay.
Like last year, I had a feeling, and I kind of threw away any expectations before the season started last year.
Good.
This year, I'm cautiously optimistic. So I actually really do follow this like pretty closely. If Trayvon and our new cornerback Revel can come back, pretty early on in the season, like the cornerback and defensive backfield depth, it's there as long as those guys just get healthy. Right now they have 3 injuries to potential starters. I know the left tackle Guyton, he's probably going to come back in week 2 or 3. Overshown in the linebacking core.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously he needs to get on the field in the earlier part of the season. Like I think that the main issue really is probably nose tackle. but I think actually the overall roster construction is good, with the exception of maybe sort of zero technique defensive tackle. But other than that, I think we have a good team. It's just getting people healthy and getting them all on the field at the same time.
But the big question mark on the roster is Micah Parsons. Are they going to meet a deal?
I would imagine. I mean, I'm not worried about it 100%. Although if they do lose Micah, I am officially all the way out, and I'm throwing my things in the fire. Jera,
okay.
You heard that. You know you're going to have a revolt on your hands if you let 11 go.
Yeah, I'm sure that he'll give two shits. But I think it's, a part of me feel like it's all planned. I think it's all theatrics because Jerry knows how to market his team.
He's a showman.
He is a showman, and I think this is all part of the plan. And I think Micah will get his deal. But I'm also a big believer in that the entire organization as a whole is just a big distraction to all the players. They are a marketing machine, but when it comes to the postseason, they can't really solidify some W's, and that's been my gripe. And I fell out of favor with them.
Postseason's been tough, dude.
2022
really has.
Yep,
really has. But you know, if they're doing well, I get excited. But like, you know, growing up in Austin, I'm more a Longhorns fan. I love I've been a Cowboys fan as of course my whole life too, but
God bless you, man.
But I don't live in Dallas. I don't live in Dallas. It's not, you know, they're just my home state team.
Yeah.
When they're doing good, I'm all about it. And as you probably could tell from my ball talk there, I do follow it.
You are more invested than I don't know any other Cowboy that heavily invested in their team.
Yeah, no, I follow all the roster moves. I want them because I want to know what's going on. I want to know how my expectations should be calibrated.
You want to know how your heart's going to get ripped out.
Well, I want to know whether
which it'll be ripped out in December.
Well, I want to know if I even how much I should care, how much I should invest personally,
okay.
You know. But the Horns are close to my heart because I grew up here and I went to UT, and my folks both went to UT, and even my great grandmother went to UT. She was one of like the first.
That's I think that's more respectable. That's a legacy, and I get that following. But man, when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, Jesus Christ. Fucking letdown of the century, in my opinion.
Yeah,
year after year, brother.
I know, man. It's tough, but
that's why
it's never dull. It's never dull.
That's very true.
Being a Cowboys fan.
You were just in Montreal.
Yeah.
How was that?
It's cool. It was.
Did you have some poutine?
I did have some poutine the first night we went. It was pretty good. Yeah, we went. My wife and I went up to see her brother and his girlfriend and his kids who are there in high school in Alaska for the better part of the year with their mom.
Oh, okay.
They come to Philadelphia for the summers, and so we flew to Philly and drove up to Montreal and just spent a few days there. It's really pretty, you know. I think it's like everyone's enchanted in the summertime, and in the wintertime it's pretty gnarly. For the Project ATX 6 thing a few years ago, we went to Toronto in November, and that was
frigid.
Dude, it was. We did a photo shoot out sort of by the water, out on the lake, and that was maybe the coldest I've ever been. I'll send you the pictures. They're actually kind of funny from how cold everyone looks.
I don't care anymore. Just snap the pic. Let's go inside.
Seriously, man. Yeah.
Okay. So last important question: Whataburger, In-N-Out, or P. Terry's?
I thought you were going to ask me how I feel about Jack White charging $150.
We can. That'll be the next question. Okay, but ask the hamburger question first.
Okay, sorry. What were the choices? Whataburger, P. Terry's,
Whataburger, P. Terry's, or
In-N-Out.
Yeah, because I wasn't going to throw P. Terry's in, but they did some nice things for our community, so I kind of want to put them in because I've always had this battle between Whataburger and In-N-Out. Yeah. I've been a big In-N-Out person because I come from the land of California.
Yeah,
it's very nostalgic to me. I love their burgers, and I always get a quality burger.
I think standard burger
And we're not arguing fries.
No,
that is not on the
standard
the table.
burger. Probably betraying my Texan roots. I might give the lean to In-N-Out.
Okay.
But I will say that some of the sort of rotating special burgers that Whataburger has, like the patty melt, or the sweet and sour burger.
Okay.
Those sometimes can surpass the sort of, if you will, meat and potatoes basic burger of In-N-Out for me, if I'm looking for a flavor bomb.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna have to process that. And
patty melt. Have you had the patty melt?
I've had the patty melt, but okay. Here's the problem. I wanted chicken sandwiches from Whataburger because they're delicious. There's been one time that I've been burned that it was fucking raw. And so, exactly, raw. And then prior to that, my other buddy, Sam, who's from Ohio State, he loves Whataburger based off his love for Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's just been a big fan of it, and he's been burned twice because he got both chicken sandwiches raw. I get it. It's not a place you go to for chicken sandwiches. You're going for burgers. But if a place can't serve up some non-raw chicken sandwiches, then you kind of lost it for me.
I know that. I feel that. It's also like in those instances, it's probably just like a rogue employee or just like something went wrong one time.
But I get that. I understand that mindset. But I go to any In-N-Out, whether it be in California or this South Lamar location or the one up north, always consistent. Always get a good burger. Yep. And that's what I care about. Just am I going to get consistent quality service of a decent burger? And so that's my argument. Now, back to Mr. Old Jack White. So the argument is...
I can't believe I brought this upon myself.
No, I know you did. For those who are watching, I'm still a big fan of Jack White. Don't get me wrong. However, he comes from a very humble upbringing. 7 brothers and sisters, whatever. And he's
carpenter by trade.
Exactly. No, upholsterer by trade. So he's bootstrapped his entire world that he created with Third Man Records. Now, he was playing a show at Mohawk. Tickets, $150. I can justify that. That's okay. That's an intimate, small venue. I understand overhead, whatever. Then the day of, he blasts on social media that he's doing a surprise show at Continental Club. Very smaller venue. How many people do you think you could fit in Continental Club? 150, if that?
Sure, that sounds right. So.
Tickets for that event, and you had to be at the door in line, were still going to be $150. Now, given his success, my argument is either why not do that show for free? Why not do the typical Continental Club price of what, $15, $20, if that, first come, first serve? On a Tuesday afternoon, the only people who are able to go to those shows are tech bros working from home, or just, especially at that cost. It doesn't make sense to me. Throw the community a bone. Hey, if you're on social media, great, come in, have a good time, and if you lose out, then that's fine too, But to charge a $150 ticket at a staple Austin venue at $150, something just seems off to me. Evan, your take.
So I'm a little bit, I think, reverse mindset from you. I think if he's going to add the Continental Club show and the tickets at Mohawk were already $150, I think you charge $150 for the smaller venue because it's a more premium, intimate experience, and you slash the price of the Mohawk show so more people can come at a larger venue at a cheaper price point.
Yeah.
Maybe you cut it in half or something if you're going to be making up, whatever percentage of people would be at Mohawk at that same price point in the Continental Club. You know what? I'm kind of like, this is another maybe just like me, like let it go kind of thing, where I'm just like, Jack White, if you think about it, okay, like on one hand, like, does he like probably have enough money? Like, that's like, I think by most people's measures, you would say, yeah, like he's good. He's in that regard.
I would say on top of that, he has leverage. He's built a name brand he can get into a lot of venues and adjust merch prices.
He's not a businessman. He's a businessman.
Exactly. I'm just saying.
And so you have that aspect of it, but at the same time, you have this guy who, as you said, basically bootstrapped his way up to a position of like having a very significant, one might say like priceless impact on like culture, like on us and many others like us, all the way to soccer stadiums. And so it's one of those things where it's like, is it for me to judge how much richer he needs to be? I don't know. But somebody who's had that kind of effect on culture, and has given people who love his music already so much in a way that's like hard to quantify. If he wants to call his own shot, then all I can say is like you did do that. You did it, you know? And it's like, for me to have any expectations about like what he should or shouldn't do, I think it's like actually maybe relatively small potatoes in terms of like how much I've already gotten from him in terms of, you know, benefit and enrichment. So I just say do your thing, I guess. But I do think that there is like a middle ground between like, yeah, dude, make the small venue show a premium experience, charge that up, and like, you know, maybe make the Mohawk ticket a little cheaper and you probably get an on balance, take.
I think, yeah, you'll still be profitable either way, in my opinion.
Sure.
He's built a great business, and yeah, and here's what really solidified the fact that he should have done that Continental show for cheaper, in my opinion. So a real famous comedian by the name of Shane Gillis. He's my favorite comedian by far.
Right. I did hear you tell this to Z. Yes.
And he had every right to charge a premium price for his showing at the Paramount. And he could have charged regular beer prices for a show like that, which would probably been, they were tall boys, $12 a pop. But he decided, like, that's, in my mind, it's like, yeah, I want to throw one out to the fans because they've been so supportive in my journey and of this project. And Netflix probably threw him fucking copious amounts of money that he just gave out free beer.
So it's like, cool, he's good too.
Exactly.
He's taken care of.
Yeah. He's given us a bone to just be more of a fan in him and his product. And I think just that simple, my wife was there. Like, I was just floored that the fact that they gave me 2 tickets for beer. I'm like, what? This is free at this place, at this part of town where it's nothing but premium shit downtown. It's like, it made me even more of a fan of him. Now, get me wrong, I'm still a fan of Jack White. I still love his music.
Did he write Seven Nation Army?
He did. He did not. One of the most like prominent fucking songs in all of sports anthems. That's going to be on Jock Rocks in 2030.
Oh my gosh. Jock Jams. Yeah.
Jock Jams. That's right. Jock Jams.
Wow.
So anyways, Evan, whenever you get to that level, please, when you come back to Continental Club,
I will make a different decision.
Please. I plead with you. Yeah. Throw one to the fans. Throw a bone to the fans. But all right, man. Well, like I said, that's well over an hour, and God damn it, that's why I love these things, because we just get lost in conversation.
As you said, where does the time go?
Yeah, where does the time go? Well, I'm going to relish this forever. It's going to be on the internet for your family to see, for my family to see, for your fans. If you have children down the line, they'll be able to watch it someday. And yeah, this has been a great pleasure, and I'm so thankful that you took the time out of your busy day. Waking up, what time did you wake up this morning?
Like 6:15.
Oh my God, waking up 6:15, working all day in the heat in the summertime of Austin, Texas, roasting those beans.
And right after this, I'm going to pick up the Letdown vinyl.
Ooh, will that be at the show?
It will indeed.
All right. Well, Evan, again, thank you so much. And yeah.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Thank you. All right. Goodbye, viewers. God bless. Bye.